Guys, it's Sarah, and today is BookList Thursday. This is a video series I do with my friend Lindsay over at Lindsay's Little Library. And every Thursday we bring you some sort of list or book topic that we feel like talking about for the week. And this week we are doing our 5-star prediction follow-up. This last round, we worked with our friend Laurie over at Books, Ink, and Paper. I will have her link down below. And we decided to do the theme of books that we heard about on podcasts because all three of us listen to podcasts and we always get book recommendations from them. So this one was pretty easy for me to pick out some books. I had quite the list because the main podcast that I listen to is the Currently Reading podcast, and I love them, and I get book recommendations every single week. I'm adding books to my wish list that I hear about on the podcast. So I definitely had some to pick from. However, this round wasn't the best. And there's certain reasons. So let's just get started. I'm just going to go in the order that I read them. So I started out by reading Once Upon a Wardrobe by Patty Callahan. This is a historical book, and we are following a girl named Megs, and she is a student at Oxford. Her younger brother is terminally ill, and you see her and her mother caring for her brother. And at this time, it was really hard to get medical attention, to get the proper medical attention, all that good stuff. So she is dealing with that while also attending school. Now, her brother, George, is obsessed with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And this is set at the time when C.S. Lewis was a professor at Oxford. And so Megs is going to the same school where he is a professor. So when they realize this, George asks Megs to find out, to seek him out and to find out what the inspiration was behind The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And so she does that. She goes and she finds C.S. Lewis and starts asking him questions, and a friendship is built from there and a repertoire, and they start having consistent visits. And he starts telling her a little bit about where the inspiration came from, what happened in his childhood to inspire his writing, and all that kind of stuff. And she's taking that information back to George. And this is one that I listened to on audiobook. It's narrated by Fiona Hardingham. She did a fantastic job. I really liked the audio version of this a lot. And I really liked the book. I really did. And one thing that I really loved about this book is that it's definitely kind of a love letter to story writing, because not only are we reading about this boy who loves this book so much and finding out why this book means so much to him, but we're also getting C.S. Lewis's childhood, but it's told in story form as well. So it's kind of like all about storytelling. They kind of turn his childhood into a story versus just, him spouting out facts about his childhood. They turn it into like a story writing exercise almost. And so that was a really cool aspect. I thought that was a very unique way to be telling a story that way within this book. And I finished it feeling good, but not great. I wasn't completely in love with it. I thought it was good. It just wasn't a 5-star. I left off just feeling like it wasn't quite a 5-star read. There also is a great love story in here as well. Not C.S. Lewis, but with Megs. But yeah, I don't know. When I finished it, I was like, that was good. I really like that. But I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I love this book so much. This is so wonderful. I can't wait to tell everybody about it. It was just good. So I gave it a 4-star. I did. I thought it was very unique. I definitely will read more from Patty Callahan. And I've left it just not, it wasn't a 5-star. Then I listened to another audiobook, the second one, and that is The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. And I think where I went wrong with this was listening to it on audiobook. And this is going to be so weird, you guys. Okay, let me explain the book first, and then I'll tell you my weird, strange thoughts. This is narrated by January Lavoie, who is one of my favorite audiobook narrators. She is fantastic. that wasn't the reason I didn't enjoy this. But this is, it's fantasy, but I also feel like it's a little bit of magical realism for sure. So we're following a girl, and her name is January, and she is kind of taken in by this man who is a collector of ancient artifacts. And he has built a lucrative business around this. She ends up needing an escape and finds a door and goes through it. And it's just a weird random door. And she goes through it and she is transported somewhere else. And then she finds out that there are these doors all over the world that can transport you to different places. And you kind of follow her journey going through all these doors and hearing other people's stories of going through doors and stuff like that. So that's the basic premise of this book. Here's where I went wrong. I listened to it on audiobook, and I think that's the reason I didn't enjoy it as much as I really thought I was going to, because I don't do well with fantasy books on audio because I miss a lot of details. If I get distracted, which I can, we're all human, we all get distracted, especially we're listening to audiobooks and doing other things. Things can pop up, I can get interrupted, whatever. I'm using my brain for something else and I don't even realize it, but I'm listening and I realize I've missed a couple paragraphs. I have no idea what they just said. That can definitely happen. So with fantasy books, the reason I normally don't listen to them is because I will miss some details and I end up not enjoying it as much because I feel like I missed some stuff and I don't really understand the book. That's what happened here. Because on paper, I should love this book so much. This is very much something that sounds like a Sarah book. And I think I did a disservice by listening to it, not because the audio was bad, but because me listening to fantasy just doesn't work. And this kind of solidified that for me. So from here on out, I will not be listening to fantasy books on audio unless they're maybe middle grade. That's a little bit different because they're not quite as complicated, not quite as many details happening in the middle grade books as this. So that I could probably still do. I would need to experiment with that a little bit. But so I gave this one a 3 because I do feel like I missed some stuff. I do feel like I don't wholly understand this book, and it's hard for me to even talk about it very well because I don't feel like I really got the full experience. I almost feel like I didn't read it. And I did. I listened to the whole thing. So that being said, I am going to keep this book and I'm going to reread it at some point with my eyeballs because I still feel like this is a book that I should love. So, lesson learned. It's me. I'm the problem. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars, but I'm going to read more from this author for sure because I really do feel like I can get along with her writing, and I need to experience her writing with my eyeballs instead of my ears. It's just that wasn't the medium for me to do this with. So that's my fault. I take full responsibility. Okay. And then my third one was The Mountain and the Sea by Ray Naylor. However, I did start this book and I read the first chapter, but when I picked this up, I could feel a reading slump coming on. I could feel it. I wasn't interested in picking anything up. I didn't want to read at all. Anything. So I picked this up during that time because timeline, and then this is a long book. I picked a long one. And I was starting to get a little bit crunched on time, and I was like, I don't know that I could finish this in the time frame that we have. So that stressed me out, and I just wasn't interested in reading anything. So that stressed me out. So I said, you know what? The first chapter was very intriguing. I will say that. If I had been in the mood to read, I probably would have gobbled this up. So this isn't going anywhere. It's going back on my shelves, but I decided instead of just DNFing and being done with it, I was going to replace this one with a different book that I know I bought because of the Currently Reading podcast. So I ended up picking up Still Life by Louise Penny. This is the first book in the Armand Gamache series, and I've heard amazing things about it on the podcast and through some friends and people in the store. Just love, love, love this series. And this is on my priorities list for 2023 as well. So it kind of checked a bunch of boxes, and I was like, okay, I can use this one. And the audiobook was available, so I went ahead and downloaded it and I listened to it. The audiobook was narrated by Ralph Kosham, and it was fine. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was just fine. So, okay, another issue here is that I feel like I kind of just picked it because it was an easy pick. It checked a bunch of boxes, but I didn't necessarily go into this thinking it was going to be 5 stars because I had heard that the first couple of books, like 2 to 3 books in this series, aren't the best. And you kind of need to get through a couple of them first, and then it just really gets really, really good. So it was an easy out for replacing. Was it the best choice? Probably not. And I did not give it 5 stars. I gave this one 3 stars. It was fine. I will say that I do like Armand Gamache as a character, and I love his wife. Can we have more of her, please? And I liked being introduced to the Three Pines community. And the problem I had, though, was while I liked her writing as far as the sentences she put together, I feel like this almost read as one big scene as I was listening to it. It just felt like, and I don't know if maybe that was the narrator, but I just felt like it was one big scene that I was watching the whole time. Like maybe one play that I was watching where the background never changes, or I don't know. It's hard to describe. I just thought it was fine. I wasn't super shocked at the ending, and not that I predicted it, but I just was like, okay. So yeah, I don't know. So it was a 3 star. I don't know. I'm not like, how do I even explain myself right now? I feel like I just did this whole round the biggest disservice to myself. Like, I don't know. I don't think I made the best choices here. Best choices were not made this round. So 3 stars for this one. So I had 1 4 star and 2 3 stars. And I had to trade 1 out. So, not the best. Here's hoping that next round will be better, because I feel like I've had 2 kind of dud rounds. I feel like last round wasn't that great either. So I don't know what's going on with my predictions for my own self. Like, who am I? Do I even know my reading taste anymore? We'll see how next round goes. All right, but please make sure you go check out Lindsey and Laurie, and hopefully they have had better rounds than I have this time. I will have both of them linked down below, so make sure you go check them out. And huge thanks to Laurie for working with us this round. We love her to pieces, and hope you guys go check her out. All right, so we will be back next week, and we will see you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.